All right, everybody. Today was our customer support executive brain trust. We just wrapped up a lot of fantastic conversations. A lot of it is centered around staff retention, budget, getting approval for budget, operating more efficiently. But the one that was the most upvoted was, how do you maintain staff morale? How do you retain better as customer support and customer success executives? So we just wrapped up our brain trust conversation, got into a lot of great topic discussions, and I have this amazing panel here with me today who is going to shed some light on some of the best practices that they have seen and implemented in their teams that have helped with staff morale and retention. So to kind of kick us off, I'm going to turn the time over to Gail with Message Gears to start the conversation. Then we'll move to Scott and we'll go from there. So Gail.
Thanks, Paul. So in our company, we're in a technology company, software development. So it's a very challenging time right now to find and retain good employees. We focus really, really hard during the interview process on making sure not only are the people we're hiring a good fit, as far as technical skills, but culturally, are they a good fit for the company? Are they in line with our cultural values, our company values? Are we in line with theirs? We learned early on, if it's not a good fit on both sides, then that's not going to work well for people. And I think also making sure we set really clear expectations. I know I almost try to scare people in interviews about how our day-to-day work can be, a bit chaotic. It requires quite a lot of interaction and collaboration with other departments, other team members, a lot of interaction. And for some people that can be really daunting. They like to work on their own and just be left alone. And that's kind of not an option in our world. And so we really, really try to convey what the company culture is like so that people aren't surprised when they get there. On a company culture, from a company culture standpoint, when we have our company meetings, we're always going through every company meeting, we go through the company values. It's usually led by our CEO, but he'll often kick it off to individual people in the company to list their favorite value and why. And any company meeting, when we have time to do that, he'll do it. But we're also really transparent about that stuff. One of our company values is we value strong long-term relationships, and that's, he always says, we're not transactional in the way we interact with people, and that's our customers and our employees. And so it's really important to us to be interacting with people as people, not just employees, not just a number or something like that. But we also celebrate successes. We have an internal kudos board that people are very strongly encouraged to contribute to. And each company meeting, he actually reads out the kudos. And every 2 or 3 company meetings, somebody gets an Amazon gift card for exemplifying, best exemplifying one of the company values. We have that. We do, beer cart Friday. We were doing virtual beer cards during COVID. Things like that. We've done a company, we're having a company field day next week where we're going and playing kickball for an afternoon for the people that are local. Company swag, things for remote employees as well, so they feel like they're participating in the culture as well. It's a real focus for our company, and it's everybody's responsibility to make it a focus for the company. And I think that's gone a long way towards making people feel like this is the place they want to be. And it's also, none of us have time to micromanage, and so it's a great environment for people that just want to do a good job, collaborate, make a difference. And we've been really successful with that. We've lost very, very few employees over COVID. And, the folks on my team, for instance, are highly valued and highly sought after, but knock on wood, they're still with our company. So really thankful for that. And I think, it's the key is just making sure you've got the right people and everybody's pitching in and making it a good environment to be in.
Excellent words of advice. Thanks for sharing that, Gail. A lot of key things in there. You really can't discount the small things, the beer
Right.
carts, like the little short connections are very valuable to keeping a team morale up and a team together. So thank you for that. Scott, let's pass it over to you.
Thank you, sir. One of the ideas that we've come up with over the last couple of years was getting off of the individual, kind of individual payout bonuses, or, even a retention bonus. And we looked at how do we incorporate people more into the team and have that team encourage other people to stay. And one of the things I talked about in a previous breakout group was, sometimes people like to come to work because of the people they work with, not necessarily the job. So how do you create that environment? So we looked at, why don't we change from a retention bonus to a team bonus? So if a new employee comes on and they stay for a year, we're going to incentivize the team to help encourage that person to stay. So the team instead will get a X amount of dollar bonus at the end of the year. And now that new individual is now also able to be a part of that bonus team. So if a new individual comes on board, they're entitled to get that bonus as well. And then we also changed from, an individual performance bonus to a team performance bonus. So you can still get an individual, you qualify, you get your X dollar amount that you get when you hit all your standard numbers. But if everybody on the team hits their numbers, we're going to give you a little bit more to help encourage, the individuals to reach out to each other and say, hey, I'm going to help you get through this task to hit these numbers and hit these goals. So not only are you getting, a little bit more money in your pocket, but so am I. And trying to help them to reach out and be like, hey, maybe you're having a tough time or a tough go of things right now. What's going on? What can I help you with? And really kind of put that onus on the team to reach out to other individuals they might not do on a normal basis, because now you got a little stake in the game. You got a little like, hey, I can make a little money if I just maybe reach out and help somebody feel a little more comfortable here. And so far we've gotten a lot of good feedback from it. And we've seen a lot more of individuals kind of stepping up to the plate to kind of be that shoulder mentor, whatever that may be, to again help people feel more welcome, which is one of the bigger things that we saw missing for a while when we had exit interviews and people were leaving. We're like, I just didn't feel like I was part of the team, or I felt like nobody would ever talk to me, or the first week I was at work, nobody said a word to me. There's always that anxiety and that that kind of, oh God, I'm new here. It's just like going, you just transferred school, or you got to a new school and you met new people, and some people are good with it and others aren't. So how do we open those conversations up, and how do we encourage people to welcome others, and that's kind of what we came up with. So
I wonder if I could respond. Scott, is there a way to incentivize that without that team bonus? Because just the fear of that going the other way would scare me and most of us away from like implementing that, in case somebody did leave and now you have a whole gang of people ready to bite. So incentivizing that through the performance reviews that tie into maybe the merit increases or bonuses at the end of the year. Is that not working? Or
we did. So we realized a lot of, when we were doing exit surveys, we found like a lot of it just, people were unhappy in the teams like that they were in. They just felt like they weren't a part of it. So we had more of a cultural problem than we did performance issues, because people tend to perform, and what will happen is they don't feel part of the team, or they don't feel welcome, and you'll see that kind of, decline. So for us, it made a little bit better sense to incentivize the team to kind of keep that team dynamic together. Now we have it more compartmentalized, so it's not like everybody who's a part of a certain area gets that. It's, hey, here's a team of 6 people. If that one person stays on your team for, you can make it a shorter period, 6 months, a year, or whatever that is, you'll get, X amount of dollars. And the same thing is, now that individual who's now part of the team now qualifies for the same thing. So now they're a part of encouraging somebody else who, that new person is. We try to poke as many holes in it as possible. There's always that fear of people, well, they got, we talk about like, well, the other shops are going to be mad because, they got money and we didn't. How does that work? And I don't know if there's ever going to be a perfect solution. You could give somebody $100 and they want 2, it's there's always going to be somebody out there who's going to make a complaint for it. But at the end of the day, I said this. I said either we can do something or we can do nothing. What do you prefer? And that's the individuals that we talk to. And when they do come with a complaint, it's like, we could have nothing on the table for you, and we're trying to give you something. So what would you prefer at this time? So.
I want to ask a quick question that I think is related to this. So in support, in success, we're in a very reactive role. Phones need to be answered. Tasks need to be done. We need to be reactive, right? And one of the things that I struggled with 5 years ago was a lot of the other departments have flexibility. And so, retention is something that everybody's dealing with. And there's a lot of research coming out that people are willing to take pay cuts for flexibility. So I wanted to ask you all, are you entertaining the idea of flexibility? And if so, how have you built that into your teams? How are you still covering the phones, covering support tickets, but still allowing for your teams some autonomy to be able to react to their own lives or get involved in their own lives or even work from home? Because I just did an HR executive brain trust, and manufacturing people are trying to figure out how they can provide their people more flexibility. So that's how deep this is going. So I can't imagine that some of you have not thought about this. So curious what you all think about that. Think there.
We actually just had an executive offsite about this whole thing again too. And one of the things that we had talked about were actually creating that time block availability where you put your schedules together and you just list out like, these are the times that I need covered. And individuals actually get to go in and choose time blocks. So maybe they work 4 hours in the morning, take 2 or 3 off in the afternoon, and then they come back and work another 2 or 3, 4, 5 in the later in the day, the day. And they can kind of pick and choose, and it gives them that availability of being able to kind of have a little bit more control on their off time and gets maybe some tasks and stuff that they need to get done without feeling that pressure of, I need to take PTO, I need to take time off to be able to accomplish tasks that, hey, I still want to work for you, I still want to get this job done, but I need a little bit of a break in between. Maybe I do have like kids in the afternoon that I want to go spend lunch with, or I've got an aunt or uncle or mom or dad, whatever that is, that you want to get some time with. And that was one of the things that we came up with, and really starting to take a hard look at that, is those time blocks, and then allowing an employee to choose those time blocks so you still get the coverage, but they get to choose it and get really creative with their own schedules.
And I think in our organization, we're fairly small, but the team has enough flexibility that they've kind of become self-governing in that regard. Like, they work really hard and they're starting earlier than expected. And it's not at all uncommon for people to be working later than expected just because they're invested in what they're doing or invested in wanting to be responsive to the customer. So we're fortunate in that we've not had to kind of put any kind of parameters around it necessarily. We give people enough flexibility that we at least have some overlap between everybody on the team.
And I'd ask you, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Scott, we have operated pretty similarly to the structure that you all are going to. So we're very transparent across our team with the hours that everyone is covering, and also very collaborative and open with one another in our Slack channel. So if someone has to step away for a couple of hours for an appointment or something like that, then there's this open and willingness for others to step in and say, I'll cover, or if someone needs to leave early for the day, for something. So we try to operate in a really flexible culture that we've created for ourselves, and very collaborative too. So people are very openly and willing to step in. I wanted to see, can I also respond to our original question on morale and retention? Okay.
Please.
So there are three things, and we've touched on some of them that we have really focused on from that standpoint. And one is reward and recognition, which we talked about. Even, everything matters, even the little ways, employee engagement. But the third one is what I really wanted to focus on, which is care and concern. That's kind of how we framed it. And with that, particularly, I started a large part of my career has been in customer success, and now transitioned to customer support, which is a really sweet transition because I understand the heart of the business and what customer success is going through that might be impacted by the support organization. And some of the heartburn and turnover that we've seen in customer success, just as one example, has been tied to, I don't feel like the organization cares about me or understands me. These are the challenges that I have, and product isn't making any headway in changing my experience that impacts, what they're doing with the customer. Customer support isn't. And so we've been really focused on letting holistically as a business, everyone know that we hear you. And these are the initiatives that we're working on to improve our customer experience, that as a byproduct, your experience will be improved as well. So we're being very transparent about all of those initiatives that we have going on to ensure the customers know that we've heard them, and the customer success side of the business understands that we've heard them and are trying to improve our processes so that the overall experience is better. And some of that, just feeling like you care, you are concerned, you're focused on these initiatives, and providing these open communications back to the customer has been helpful.
I think we've seen similar things in our organization as well. And maybe on top of that, getting collaboration from or participation by people on the teams. It's not just information like flowing over to another department or up or out of their control, but actually collaborating and participating on, here's what we'd like to see in the product and here's why, instead of them just filling out a JIRA ticket, sending it over to another queue and walking away from it. There's a lot of ownership in that.
Well, I want to thank everybody for participating in the panel discussion afterwards and for adding the comments. And we're going to post this also as a video, so you can have a look at it afterwards if you want to contemplate some of it further. Look forward to see all of you next month, and hope we have a chance to talk before then. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Sure.
you.
Bye-bye.